Ravens just finished day 14 of training camp. We had big days from Rashod Bateman, Zay Flowers. The offense got back on track today. Big day from Reuben Lowery again on defense, who had another interception. We also hear from John Harbaugh, Rashod Bateman, and DeAndre Hopkins. All that and more in today's episode of the Flock Rundown.
Ravens Flock. Flock Rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Day 14 of training camp just wrapped up. We'll start with who was there. We did have TJ Tampa return to practice today, but Keaton Mitchell, DeAndre Hopkins, William Kwenku, Jair Alexander, Kyle Hamilton, and Isaiah Likely were all absent. Also, Emory Jones Jr., who's still on the non-football injury list. Harbaugh did say that all of the guys that are missing practice today are okay, and it is just camp things. The Ravens did sign another player. They signed running back Myles Gaskin, and they placed Longerbeam on IR, which officially ends his season. So now both rookie sixth-round cornerbacks, Kone and Longerbeam, are officially on IR and out for the season. And John Harbaugh was asked about Longerbeam going to IR today, and this is what he had to say.
It's a long story. You know what I mean? It's just a long story. And you can, I really couldn't even explain it to you. Much as I might want to, I couldn't explain it to you. So just, it is what it is.
By Harbaugh not elaborating on this situation and not admitting that Longerbeam had an actual injury that would end his season tells me that they just didn't like what they saw and needed a roster space. I mean, we heard all through camp Longerbeam was struggling with some confidence issues and really only had like a great day or two. And the fact that the Ravens are putting him on IR already and clearing a roster space to sign a running back, but that running back, Myles Gaskin's probably not a running back that is going to be on the roster. You know, same with Dearness Johnson. I think we're signing a lot of camp backs. We signed some camp tight ends. The Ravens are stacking up their training camp preseason roster because Keaton Mitchell's not practicing, and we're not going to see Derrick Henry or Justice Hill in the preseason. So, you know, we need more camp bodies, and they're basically sacrificing Longerbeam's season to get more camp bodies in there. And there's probably more details to it that's why John Harbaugh didn't really want to elaborate, but it's definitely not as simple as Longerbeam has this injury that is season ending. I think there's a lot more roster maneuver strategy involved in that, but it is what it is. Both sixth-round corners are not going to play this year. But sticking with the secondary, Reuben Lowery had another strong day today. He had a nice diving pass breakup and then jumped a floater from Cooper Rush for an interception. Lowery continues a dominant training camp. I think this is 5 or 6 picks at this point throughout the entirety of training camp and mini camp. You know, Reuben Lowery is a name that continues to flash. I liked what I saw him in the preseason, too. He just didn't have an interception or anything, so he didn't really talk about it in detail, but he keeps flashing and making plays every single practice, it seems like. And if he could, you know, make a big play in the preseason game, I think that's going to go a long way. And I would say that he and Jalen Armour-Davis are in the lead by far to make the active roster when it comes to the secondary. And I don't even know what position they're going to officially put Reuben Lowery at. Like, he's played all 5 positions so far throughout camp. Harbaugh talked about it yesterday. They've had him at safety. They've had him at outside corner. They had him inside. Same with Jalen Armour-Davis. These are 2 guys that they're moving all over the secondary, and they're both handling it really well. So I'm not sure if both guys can make the active roster, but I do know that Jalen Armour-Davis and Reuben Lowery are doing everything they can to make the active roster. And with the Kone and Longerbeam injuries, they're runway's clear, man. I really think that at least one of these guys is definitely going to make it. Both could also potentially make it. Heading over to the offense, it was a rough start, but ended up being a really strong day for the offense. We'll start with the rough start, and that was more false starts. This time with the starting line, Ronnie Stanley and Roger Rosengarten both had false starts in a 5-play span. and John Harbaugh subbed in an entire new offensive line just like he did yesterday with the twos. But then after those first few penalties, Jeff Zrebiec claimed this as one of the offense's strongest practices of the summer. Lamar connected with Rashod Bateman on a few big plays. They were productive in the red zone. Charlie Kolar scored a touchdown. Andrews, Zay Flowers heavily involved. In the red zone period, Jackson hit Zay Flowers for a 13-yard touchdown in front of the pylon. Charlie Kolar came down with a tough touchdown grab. And during full team work, Lamar hit Tylan Wallace cutting across the field for a big gain on the first play. Then Lamar got some key blocks from Ricard and Linderbaum, had time to find Mark Andrews. Lamar then rolled out and lofted a pass to leaping Bateman. Tyler Loop had another strong day. He finished 12 for 13. Only miss came from 45 yards. And then heading over to some of the one-on-one notes, Travis Jones beat Andrew Voorhees twice, once with a vicious club move. Tavius Robinson bull rushed Roger Rosengarten, who then handled Kyle Van Noy after that. Mike Green had a good inside move versus Ronnie Stanley, but Ronnie did recover well. Rashod Bateman went one-on-one against Nate Wiggins. Bateman won on a double move on a beautifully thrown ball, but then had the ball bounce off his hands in the next matchup. Jalen Armour-Davis had an interception in a one-on-ones. He stayed right with Keith Kirkwood on a double move. We heard from Rashod Bateman today, who said he's been studying some Jerry Rice film.
Going out on the field and practicing it for one, but also just watching, a lot of film. I watch a lot of Jerry Rice. I watch a lot of other guys in the league. Even Zay Flowers himself. But you got to be a student of the game, and I'm blessed to be a student of the game. I love it, and I'm always trying to find different ways to tip off, the DBs to make a thing go left and go right. So, some guys don't have it, and some guys do have it, and me and Zay are definitely two receivers that I think, definitely have, what it takes to be at that elite level in route running.
Probably not too many better receivers to study, especially from a work ethic standpoint, than Jerry Rice, man. He's the greatest, and I love hearing that Rashod's studying his film. Rashod Bateman also talked about his growing chemistry with Lamar Jackson and how Lamar is becoming more of a vocal leader than ever before.
The dude's a 99 overall for a reason, so it's kind of hard for me to pinpoint what he does wrong. That's why I don't get paid to do that. That's Monken's job, but Lamar, he's very, more vocal than he's ever have been about what he wants from us, even to the staff, to the O-linemen. He's definitely pushing the agenda of, just staying hungry and, being competitive. He's definitely a competitive guy, and he's leading us in the right direction with that.
We've seen Lamar Jackson evolve throughout his career as a vocal leader. I thought last year he was the most vocal that he's ever been, and I would expect it to probably just grow. The more comfortable he gets, the more, he's cemented himself as a top player in the league. So everybody on the team, everybody in the franchise is looking to Lamar Jackson. So it's only natural to be, vocal as the leader of the team. And I feel like Lamar is growing tremendously in that department. He's growing, different relationships and chemistry with guys on the team, but also just being vocal on the field with what he wants. Hey, do it this way, run the route this way, like just trying to get on the same page. Not that he didn't do that stuff before, but when other players, multiple players, coaches are talking about how Lamar is becoming more vocal than ever, really started last year. I feel like I saw a huge leap in Lamar Jackson just voicing his opinion, showing his frustration. He's not just sitting there quiet. He's talking to guys, and that's how you get growth. That's how you get improvement, and the guys need to know what he's thinking, So I think it's a beautiful marriage. I love that Lamar Jackson's growing as a leader. DeAndre Hopkins was also asked who his favorite corner to go against in camp has been, and he says Nate Wiggins.
I like going against all of them, but I would say specifically Nate Wiggins. I think Nate is – he's a young guy who loves competing. He wants to be great. Obviously Jair and I have played against each other before, but I've never played against Nate. Chig, I played against him, I played with him in Tennessee. So I would say, Nate, just because, him and I have never really got reps to get against each other. And, he's a young corner who wants to be great. He's a Clemson guy. So, we train him well around there, man. But Nate, he competes every day. He doesn't complain, comes out and work. He has every tool set that you look for in lockdown corner.
One thing I did learn today is that Rashod Bateman and Daniel Faalele were roommates at Minnesota. He talked about that today.
Well, when I was in Minnesota, he was like over 400 pounds, so it's a big difference. And he was my roommate, so all the food was gone a lot. So I mean, it's been quite a difference to see him, come to the NFL, going through what he's been through, being from Australia and all of that. It's cool to see him. It was kind of crazy that we got drafted to the same team, but he's worked extremely hard to get to where he's at, so I'm definitely proud of him.
That's pretty much it from today's practice. Overall, great day from the offense, though. It was great to see Lamar connecting with multiple guys. I know they had some more penalty issues at the start of practice, but it got fixed very quickly. Maybe pulling the O-line like that is working. I mean, yesterday, Harbaugh pulled the twos, and then instantly, practice goes smooth, and there's not as many penalties. And then today, early on, the ones are having a bunch of false starts. Harbaugh pulls them out of practice. Offense has their best practice day overall. So, I mean, maybe it's working. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully the penalties do subside. But love seeing Lamar connecting with Zay and Bateman and Andrews and Kolar and just the offense having their best day. We've been hearing a ton about how the defense has kind of had the upper hand throughout camp. Not that the offense has been bad, but the defense has looked really strong. And then today, great to hear that the offense was having one of their strongest days yet. So excited for football, man. I can't wait for it to get here, but another training camp practice down. Let me know what you guys are thinking about everything that we talked about. Appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The Flock Rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.